всего вот этого, это то, что не холодно. Не холодно.
For the channel boys, weather report from Singapore. I'm all wet, but I'm warm.
And you're warm. And you're warm. That's right.
Hey, Linda, welcome back.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
It's good to be here on Balancing Act on the Empowered Living Community. We just really enjoy doing this show. We hope you all enjoy the content that we have, but the video that you've just seen is my wife dancing in the midst of a hurricane.
I so love that.
It's it was actually, I believe, filmed by my son. So basically, they were both out in the middle of, I believe, I have to double check, but I believe it was Milton last year. And it's not that we don't have a healthy respect for hurricanes. We do pay attention. The zone that we are living in is not a major flood zone. I think in Florida, that's X, no flood. But the winds pick up, things like that. And it's not necessarily about having fear, overcoming fear. It is overcoming fear. It's having a healthy respect, but to be able to look at it and say, I'm not afraid of this. God's got this. And we have a tendency to allow our fears to overtake us.
Most definitely. And I was talking to a young lady today, and we were talking about hot air balloons. And she said she's always wanted to go in one, but has been very nervous about doing it. But she's done skydiving. And I'm like, so what part of it is more frightening for you than skydiving? And she said, it's just because I don't know. She said, I've seen, she's been to Albuquerque. She lives in Colorado Springs and would see every Labor Day they have a big balloon festival down there for that. And she would always watch them, and she thought they were cool, but she was afraid to be in them. And I don't know if maybe it's the flame, what it is. And here's the thing, our fears don't have to be rational.
No. And a lot of time they're not. I can tell you there was a point in time where, I look back on it now, and we've talked about this before, but I have a gambling addiction. Now I am coming up on 32 years clean. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But in the midst of that, I had a really irrational fear of basically becoming homeless, living under a bridge. There was a place in Rapid City, South Dakota, where a lot of homeless folks hung out. And every time I would drive that, and I drove that 2-3 times a day because of my job, and it was irrational. But I was also in the midst of a gambling addiction that was overtaking everything. And so it became really irrational. So to overcome that, I had to face the addiction, right? And that's the only way I could overcome that. And I tell people I'm an addict. It's funny. I know what it does to me. I know that there are some things I can do. I can sit down and have a friendly game of poker with friends or blackjack with friends or something like that and get up and walk away. But you put me in front of a video poker machine, a video Keno machine, and I'll spend every last dime, and I know it. And so it's funny, here in Florida, there's only a few places where you can legally gamble like that. And one of them is here in Tampa. It's called the Hard Rock.
Okay.
But it sits on Seminole land.
Right.
It's the only way you can have that license, right? And I had not, so we moved here in 2017. I hadn't even been on that property up until last year. And I was doing some Uber driving, and I had to drop somebody off there. And the thought went through my mind, I've never been in here. I wonder if I should just run in and see what this casino is all about. Yeah, right. Okay.
right?
That's like
Uh-huh.
that,
Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
right, right. That's like an alcoholic saying, "Hey, I want to go check out that new bar and just see what the atmosphere is like." Right. And anyway, and and so I dropped this person off, and I actually was looking. I wonder where the parking is, and then up comes like a big hit for Uber, and it's like, oh, boom! And so I got out of there.
Yeah,
But anyway, but you're right. Yeah, and a lot of people, a lot of people don't know what that Danger Will Robinson is all about.
I know, I'm old.
You know,
Sorry.
we have a whole generation out there that doesn't. But anyway, so how do you confront some of your fears, Linda? How do you uh, uh, not rationalize, but how do you overcome? I guess.
I've gotten better. I used to be very much head in the sand, Pollyanna kind of person,
Yeah,
and
me too.
that didn't work. You know, when you have something that's not working for you, you need to face it. And so, well, like I did when I realized that I needed to get out of financial difficulty and talked with you and you showed me what I needed to do. And
But you face that head on.
I did. And I'm not quite sure where the chutzpah for that came from, but I also know that I'd gone through something like that similar before. And it was just vitally important to me that I not lose this home. And
Right,
so I
right.
knew if I wasn't going to lose the house, or in my head, I thought, none of it was secured yet, which is good. But still, I knew that if I wanted to be able to keep my house, keep my car, keep where I am, and do the things that I wanted to continue to do, I needed to face it. And I think some of it is we build up what we think is going to happen and we make it way worse than it's ever going to
Yeah,
be.
we tell ourselves stories, don't we?
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, I've had 3 open heart surgeries and I wasn't really sure what to expect. Jeff had one before I had my first one. He had a really high pain threshold. So does my son. I'm a baby for pain. And I actually was terrified out of the surgery itself. I was afraid I wouldn't be able to manage the pain when I woke up.
Yeah.
And you know what? It really wasn't that bad. It just felt a little bruised. But I had all of these stories going on in my head. And not, Jeff didn't say, oh my God, you're going to die. It hurts like hell. He didn't say any of that.
Right, right.
It really, the first time you sneeze or cough, wow. And then you get used to, they give you the pillow, get your heart pillow, and you just hold that to
Yeah.
your chest. And it's almost easier when it's something you just don't really have any choice but to face. Sometimes with finances or sometimes with addiction or other things, we think that we can get away with not dealing with it.
Right, right.
And when you get to the point where you can't get away with it anymore, you have to be willing to, it's either lose everything or put your adult pants on and face the music and find out what it takes.
Yeah. I remember when we first started talking, and we probably talked several times about some of your struggles with finances before you were really ready to dive deep into it. And you said something to me. I'm remembering part of the conversation, and you were afraid that if you did some actions and stuff, that they would take your house. And so and when we started to talk about that, I knew that wasn't true. I knew there were things that you could do to protect that. And I think at that point in time, when you came to that realization, then you were ready to attack everything head on. And as you did that, and as you took the steps, I could see, and I see this in my clients all the time, the financial clients that I have, the confidence comes that, oh, this works. and it's one foot in front of the other, and that's how you overcome fear. You really have to take that one step at a time. It's like um, uh, dealing with health issues.
Mhm.
2022, was not a good year for me, health wise and everything else. 2 hospital stays, just heart failure, cancer, all this kind of stuff, and you build this story up in your mind about what's the surgery going to feel like? What's it going to be like after? And coming out of all the stuff that I went through during the congestive heart failure, because they hadn't done the cancer surgery, and so the fluid that had built up in my system was causing some really severe pains and stuff like that. And I kept, um, uh, uh, with all with the medication they give you when you have congestive heart failure, it pulls all the fluid off your body, right? And so it passes through your kidneys, and so you go pee. I couldn't pee, and the first thing I thought, what happens if my bladder bursts? What happens if this? What happens if that? What happens? And I'm sitting there in the hospital surrounded by highly professional people, and they're telling me to be calm, and I'm like, I have all these thoughts going through my head. If I could tell stories like that, of compelling stories, um, the way I tell myself in my head.
Yeah, wouldn't we all be like best-selling authors?
Yes, we
And
would. We would be. We'd all be. And the thing is, it would be fiction, because
most definitely.
that's fear is fiction, um, and it just I had a pastor friend of mine. He preached a sermon, and he titled it "Fear: False Evidence Appearing Real." And when it's all up here, we can make it feel real. And
And we breathe more life into it than
yes,
it
yeah,
deserves.
we do. Oh yeah, much more than what it
I
deserves.
think we literally give it CPR.
Hmm. Yeah, we do, and we keep it going, and it's easier. And what that does, fear is gripping. Okay, it will stop you from taking that step forward that you want to take. It will stop you from taking the next step in the business. It will stop you from doing something like what we're doing. I don't want to be in front of the camera. We have people that we know who have a story to tell, who have a great product to sell, but fear of getting in front of the camera stops them. Um, Fear of being out there in the public stops them. And what's the number one fear is speaking in public, right?
In public speaking, yeah.
Yeah, and
It's not death.
mm-mm,
It's
mm-mm,
not pain.
mm-mm.
That to me is outrageous. And not that I've never been afraid to speak in public. I just learned to deal with it. But I just can't imagine that frightens people more than the thought of death
Yeah, yeah,
or the thought of losing a loved one.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's amazing when you think about all the things that we maybe should fear, you know,
Yeah, that we don't.
and fear of public speaking, uh, and there's tricks that we all know, but we have a tendency to forget them when it comes time for us to speak. It's one thing, being able to speak at church and being able to bring sermons and stuff like that. I get over that pretty quickly. I enjoy speaking in front of people. Sometimes I feel like I don't really have much to say. On the other hand, I take every opportunity. I don't know how many times I've been called at the last minute to preach at a church or say, and so I'll do it. But that's a commitment I made in my life, in my faith journey, is that whenever I'm asked to speak, I will say yes. And so it's put me in a couple of crazy situations, but there again, and then you never know really truly what you're getting into. But I've always tried to say yes in that. But um, if you have some sort of irrational fear, you have some sort of a fear that's hanging out there, you have to get to the root of what's causing that. Now, with that homeless fear and the stuff that I had while I was going through what I was the severe part of my gambling addiction, the root was the addiction. And then that just and with a gambler, once you start winning, no, all the fears go away for a while until you
But
sit
yeah,
down
you
in front
have
of a
it.
machine and you
Yep,
lose it all
there
again.
you go.
Yeah, yeah. Vicious cycle, vicious cycle. So we'd like to encourage you. There's a lot of different ways to deal with your fear. The biggest thing is to face it head on. Now, uh, especially when it comes to the fear that's in your mind. Um, there's some things that we need to have a healthy respect for. I don't, I'm not a proponent of, if you are afraid of snakes, for example, that go play with
Right,
snakes.
let's think. Yeah.
No, don't. I don't like snakes. I have nothing, nothing to do with them, right? Same way with spiders. But what's my pastor used to say? Bugs inside, spiders inside, dead outside, live. So, but there's a lot of ways to deal with fear, and the biggest thing is to confront it head on. And sometimes you just can't do it alone. You've got to have somebody to walk alongside you.
And I would say most times when you have a fear that is keeping you from moving forward, talk to someone.
Yes, absolutely,
Get someone in your corner. We're not meant to do things completely alone. Now, there are some things only we can, there are things only I can do. Only I can take care of my financial issue, and I am doing that.
You do have somebody that you allow to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that helps a lot. And it's also helping me make better decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, I've paid this bill off, I have extra money now. No, we're going to move it to this one. And when you're talking about fears, we were talking about rational and irrational. It really doesn't matter what the fear is, whether it's rational or irrational. When it's stopping you, it needs to be addressed.
Yes, it does. It does need to be addressed.
Now, there are very healthy fears.
Mm-hmm.
Don't step in front of a train. That's a very healthy fear, and that's not one that should be tested.
Right.
Because between you and the train,
train's going to win every time. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I know when I was growing up, there were things I was absolutely terrified of. And some of it I got from my mom. My mom, no bugs. And it didn't matter how itty bitty it was. And the little ones I could handle, but she told us when we were kids, she told us the horror stories, how they had a button jar. And she put her hand in the button jar one day to get a button to add back to her sweater or something, and a roach crawled on her arm. Now, she probably was only like 7 or 8 years old. But oh my God, bugs, no. And, we grew up, and if Dad wasn't around, she'd just yell. She'd start running down the list, John, Mike, Linda, I got a spider, I got a fly, I got something. And we go running in there. I'm like, what? I don't see it. It's right there. And it'd be like that, look, those itty bitty little things, those little gnat-sized things. And as we got older, she slowly got better about that. For one thing, she loved plants and she loved flowers. And that meant you were going to have gnats, you were going to have bugs.
Yeah.
She also had horrible allergies, and she shouldn't have had them in the house, but she loved them. So she just kind of learned. But, that was the thing growing up. So I would say that's not an irrational fear. I would call that a very deep-seated fear. And so we can look and say, I think for me, what's the one left over from childhood? For the most part, I've been able to work through most of them. I think one of the hardest ones was being alone. Like just being alone in a house.
Yeah.
Because there was always somebody, and then I went from sharing a bed with my sister to being married.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I lost Jeff that I was actually ever alone in my house. And I've been alone. I had been alone, like if he was traveling or if I was traveling, but that was no big deal because I knew I was going to see him again.
Right.
So there was that fear of what if I just decide not to do anything at all? Will anybody notice? And I really went into a deep, dark place that I didn't need to go to. And it was because I told myself that I didn't matter without him.
Mhm.
And so I hadn't realized that through my life, because I hadn't really ever had to be alone, that I was afraid of being alone. It just never occurred to me. And that's what it was.
Yeah. We actually teach a course. Both of us do teach it. It's called Ride the Fear to the Life of
Yeah.
Your Dreams. And so, I mean, that's something that if you're interested in, you can reach out to us and we could walk you through that. It's based on a course done by Paul Martinelli and Roddy Galbraith. But
Right.
you have to be able to confront the fears. We're kind of running out of time. I think we're going to close with we're going to show you the video again, and we're going to tell you to dance in the midst of your hurricanes. Linda, it's been a joy to talk to you tonight.
It's been fun. Thank you. And, you don't have to face your fears alone. So if you don't have anybody you feel you can reach out to and you need an ear,
Yeah, reach out to us.
we're here.
So, Empowered Living, Paul Martinelli, Andy Hall, thank you so much for the opportunity to have this platform. And we're going to close with you all. Be blessed and watch this video and enjoy.
Из всего вот этого, это то, что не холодно. Не холодно.
For the channel 5, weather report from Tampa. I'm all wet, but I'm warm.
And you're warm. And you're warm.